Alrighty, welcome, Soul Brother number 3, to the John and Gus podcast, the album review podcast, but where we started just talking to people and reviewing humans, but we don't really review them because that's not a nice thing to do. We're just talking to someone that we have watched for years and really excited to talk to them. So thank you so much, Max, for deciding to join us today. I appreciate it.
No problem. No problem at all. I'm always here to promote, showboat, all the great things you know about.
Right. Yeah, no, you have to, right? Especially, like, as a creator, you spend so much of your time thinking about, like, just doing the work, and then something that that falls behind on my part is that I don't think about the part where people actually have to see this. That's the part that I was imagining before I created it, and but so you gotta promote somehow. So we were actually playing your game earlier. So I'm John. This is Gus. Gus, you want to say hi? Just
hello.
Because it's kind of, if someo's not watching the video version.
I'm like the teller of the Penn teller. I just kind of sit here.
Third mic in it.
Yep.
Like on your show, your buddy that you have on there. I'm so sorry, his name escapes me.
I have a variety of different people on there. I've gone through co-hosts because
right.
That's the thing. I mean, I do live. I mean, you guys don't do live. You guys are pre-recorded.
Yeah, we do pre-recorded for our podcast only. Yeah.
So my thing was doing live because I don't know. I wanted to take the old radio sort of format and apply that to streaming, because I would go on streams and I look at Twitch and I look at all these places and all these streams that were considered to be exciting. I would go on, it'd be some guy just looking at his phone for like 2 minutes straight. Yeah, and I'm what? Like nobody, all these people who are broadcasting themselves, they don't learn broadcasting. And so my goal was, I wasn't streaming for 3-4 hours. I wasn't doing anything like that. Maybe if I made more money, I would do that. But basically, my thing was, I'm going to have an hour to 90-minute show, and it is going to be consistent entertainment the entire time. No dead space, no putting down your phone, no, looking around at this and that. The longest dead space we've ever had on sobroradio was probably like 20 seconds. That's it.
Right.
And, but yeah, no, as far as the guys, the nature of doing a live radio show, you have to have so many different guys that you can contact and show up. And so one of the guys is Mike Valverde. We restarted doing the show because COVID lockdown, a lot of people were in and out. I couldn't really do the show during that time, which sucks because that was when more people were on the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
Than ever.
But no, I had Mike Valverde. We had Jordan Moore. We had a few people. We had Daniel Plainview a couple times. Austin Berglund. We had a couple dudes that cycle in and out. Most recently, Reno, who's been doing voices forever in a lot of the videos that you've probably seen.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
that's I wanted to start with. It's so interesting. You talk about dead. So silence is death on radio, right? And I think that it's a sign on radio when if there's nothing broadcasting, like they actually have to put some kind of sound, or else they'll cut the signal because that like a sign that something's wrong. But that's definitely not something that you see on Twitch or streaming. That's a problem that I have with, and why Gus and I are not massive consumers of most live streams. And I was I've listened in on your live streams and how you let people text in their questions, and it's very cool, and you have some awesome guests on there. So congrats on being able on venturing into the streaming and the podcast venture on top of everything else you do, which is so much, on top of making a video game. But I wanted to ask, since this did historically start as the album review show, and I have a feeling that you like a lot of the same music as us. So what is your favorite album or albums of all time? You don't have to pick one if it puts you too much on that, you just say whatever comes to mind.
I mean, I don't know. Jay-Z 444, that's a big one. Kodak Black's Project Baby 2, that was another really good one. That's a very recent one. Let's see here, what else? As far as mixtapes, J. Cole's Friday Night Lights, that's probably pretty up there. What else? XV Zero Heroes. That's another great one. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I went from modern to blog rap, but it's but that's
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much. It's hard for me to. Blog rap was like that was that era. Basically, there was this. In 2007, it was Kanye West and 50 Cent. They had that big battle on 106 and Park where it was who's going to sell the most albums, and it was Kanye's Graduation versus 50 Cent's whatever the fuck his album was.
Bulletproof?
And was it Bulletproof?
I think.
That might have been before then.
Oh.
I can't remember. Anyway, it was between those two albums, and basically it was like it was the street gang affiliated guy versus the non tough guy rapper, the soft guy rapper, who was Kanye West. And so when Kanye finally beat out 50 Cent by a lot on album sales in 2007, that sort of opened the door for, the non-tough guy rappers. And so that is the J. Cole, the XV, the Mac Miller, the Wiz Khalifa, the Kid Cudi, the, Charles Hamilton, all those guys. That was the blog rap era. So when Kanye took over, then the blog rap was able to be taken more seriously because it was all just guys at their computer. It wasn't necessarily guys who were gang affiliated or anything like that. So that was sort of the interesting history of how that unfolded. But no, I look a lot into that. And then, like on my most recent musical project, 07 to Heaven, which was the third act of the Aguilaran mixtape trilogy, I was trying to take a lot of blog rap elements from that late 2000s era and apply it to that project.
Wow. Okay, so listening to your stuff and actually watching the trailer for your game, you use the Fall Out Boy song. I'm a big pop punk person, so actually a lot of the rap stuff just kind of goes a little bit over my head. Yeah, do you know a lot of that? You know a lot of this stuff?
Not that much.
Not that much, right?
Yeah.
We're just like a little bit a little bit, but it is fascinating to hear about this section though I do know about kind of this it's funny to see that this was a change, right? It was a change to this era of the Kanye West, Kid Cudi. And I listened to Man on the Moon and all that stuff. I mean, we all have, right? And so it is interesting. It is the guy behind the computer. It's the producer guy became the rapper.
Yeah.
And it's all these effects on voices, and it's just not someone just hey, throw me a beat and I'm just gonna rap on it. I'm writing my the focus has been on the rap, and it's so funny how that kind of played out.
A lot of singing now.
What was that?
A lot of singing now. A lot of auto-tune singing now.
Yeah.
If you don't have melody on a rap song, it's hard for it to take off nowadays.
Right. You don't, right? And so it's funny because I listen to a lot of Juice WRLD, and it's all I'm drawn to, really. That style of that auto-tune voice style of singing, and so it's that rap style, which is interesting because it's not typical rap and it's not traditional. But when it comes to and this is going to tie into my question later. When it comes to, so we covered your album, and now let's cover what is your favorite video game of all time. From there,
video game of all time, Class of 09, of course. Jeez Louise,
Class of 09. He says that.
We want.
Oh man,
yeah. I don't think we actually mentioned what the game was, so I was just throwing that one out there.
No, we're about to. We're just about to throw that out. Yeah.
I mean, the games that I came up with were a lot of PS2 era stuff. So my favorite games are like Tony Hawk Undergrounds. Those are probably really important for those are an important part of history in terms of games because it was the hat we hung with Class of 09 that the Underground also hung it was really embodying a culture in a video game. And that is not something that happens in video games because a lot of the people making video games are kind of introverted guys, not really talking to a lot of people, not really going out, and so it's these guys who just grow up on the computer. And the indie game scene is pretty much all guys who they're just at their computer. They're playing Earthbound ROMs, that's all they do, sort of, so it's and so it's so Toby Fox is an example of a guy where he had a mind where he was. Who made Undertale? He had this mind that was very it was very divergent, and so he was one of the guys who took a lot of the creativity, but you could tell he wasn't really fueled by any real world culture. It was more so he was fueled by the arts and he was fueled by his own imagination. And so that's fine. But then Class of '09 is like the polar opposite, where you're taking sort of a comedic experience and you're like, and again, you're injecting a whole culture and you're showing all the wild stuff in this game. A lot of people who say that the characters in the game were exaggerated, they haven't met people like that, because those people are real. There's real people who say a lot of the things.
Yeah.
Real people who say a lot of the shit in that game. I'll get to that later, but basically, I mean, as far as games that but yeah, Tony Hawk Underground, that was another game. It was like the skating culture. It turned skateboarding from It turned skateboarding from like just getting around to like, oh, there's tricks in this. Oh, can you pull off this trick? Can you pull off this combo? And that was more sort of the skate culture. Obviously, Skate 3 and Skate 2 and all those games came around, and they sort of made it a little more realistic. But
but the impact wasn't the same.
Yeah. So I noticed that people who actually skate like the skate games more, and people who are just more into the culture, they like Tony Hawk more. And so that's what I saw. But it was like just the humor and the music and like everything in those Tony Hawk games, like that was culture. Like I didn't like, I put in the T-Mobile Sidekick 3 as the choice select.
Yeah.
The thing is that like I had always like known this, but in the back of my mind, the Tony Hawk Underground games and Tony Hawk Project 8, look up Project 8. That game does the same thing in the choice select menu. You go on a T-Mobile Sidekick 3 to choose things in the game. But that's back before it was retro. That's when it was just product placement. And so I didn't actively think about Project 8, but then I watched gameplay like a year after, Class of '09 has been out for a year. Like a few months after I dropped Class of '09, I realized, oh shit, they had it too. But nobody noticed it because nobody remembered that game. So that's the problem. That's the problem with the game. There's a lot of games. There's NFL Street. There's
yes, hell yeah.
There's NFL Street. There's Assassin's Creed 2. There's like all these games that were just like kind of screw around, like whatever, low barrier of entry, but there was like sort of a level of mastery to it, and that just what I've seen is games like that aren't really appreciated anymore. Now every game, once you get addicted to it, every game is Dark Souls now. Every game is Clash of Clans. Every game is, microtransactions. Dark Souls is a little bit better than that. But still, like, it's still the time sink. It's still a level up. Learn how to parry people. Learn how to do all this stuff. And it's like, I'm not into that. I lost interest in video games probably like 10 years ago. And I've just been playing the same games since when I was a kid.
Right. You still find yourself going back to these games sometimes, though? Your PS2 era? I play Thug Pro. I play Madden 08 on the PC. Nice. I still play a lot of those old games from time to time. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it is interesting what games have become, especially as, it's just like, I remember when, I just remember a time when you didn't need to be the hardest game on the planet to be like the game that everybody's talking about. You could just be a game, you could be a game that's fun, that people are into, and gaming has really become something else. You hit on a lot of interesting points there. And so going to, first of all, you came out with a game. I'm sorry that if I didn't know this before, I don't remember you making any games before this. I know you primarily for your ability to mix and master and edit these super funny videos, and like and then I see that I see in your YouTube channel you're putting out things on how to do cinematography, and now you have a game out like. Yep. Wait, where do you get? How do you know all this stuff? I was looking when we were playing your game earlier. I was looking through it, and I was like, I see that it's like it uses the RenPy library, and I'm like, wait, when does this guy learn to program? What's you know how to program? Cinematography. You know how to mix. Your mixes are always awesome. Your audio quality is through the roof on all of your content. Your editing is awesome every single time. There's flawless, right? How do you like? Wait, where did you learn all this stuff, man? Like, where did this come from?
Just working. I mean, look. So here's the thing. I mean, as far as I never learned how to program. You got to look at the credits. I hired people. I hired people to do the art. I hired people to do everything. Okay. And so Class of '09 was so difficult because the means of production were not in my hands. They were in the hands of whoever I hired. And
Gotcha.
so like, you know, like there was stuff with Ren'Py where it didn't actually flow like that. Like if you try to, you know, download Ren'Py and make a game like that, you would see that there's little pops between the dialogue boxes,
Right.
little thing like audibly. And so I told myself if I couldn't figure out how to make that engine clean, if I couldn't figure out how to make that play out just like one of my videos, I wasn't going to make the game at all. And so that was but again, like, but how, you know, how someone learns how to just do all these things and do them well, it's just the laws of production are universal. You know, it's a lot of it is, you know, do you have money? Do you have connections? Do you have, not that I have any, like, big connections.
No,
but,
you do.
You know,
Though.
it's like,
Yeah.
you know, do you have money? Do you have connections? Do you have, and do you have an attention to detail? Do you have attention to detail? Do you know how to, I have a post on my Instagram that shows, like, I think it's the 7 laws of production, the universal traits of production. And basically, it goes into all these things, how whether you're making an album, whether you're making a video game, whether you're making a movie, whether you're making a podcast, whether you're making anything, you have to follow and adhere to those 7 things. And if you're a good producer, you're going to have those concepts.
I see.
But as far as learning, I mean, you know, Dan, what I would say how I learned a lot of the stuff, like the audio, cinema, all that stuff, is I see a lot of guys, and there's a lot of settling on inspiration, what I see. And so basically what you get is you get guys where it's like, oh, well, I'm going to just try to do it as good as this web internet creator. And since I was like 18, I was like, these guys suck. That's why they're on the internet. And so it's like, dude, how are you going to be online for 15, 20 years? I've only been on for 9 years. And I'm starting, you know, I'm not going to say too much, but big things are on the way. Some more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, let's just say it's not going to be YouTube anymore. But basically.
What?
Okay.
Basically, well, I mean, Class of '09 wasn't YouTube anymore. But
Right. Yeah.
But no, so I'm leaving the internet guy thing. Like I'm always going to talk online. I'm always going to interact online. But I'm no longer going to be a web creator. Like Toby Fox isn't considered a web creator. To go back to that example, he's considered a game developer. He's not considered a funny internet guy. And so what I saw is like, dude, if these guys are still doing it for 15, 20 years, like they have to know people. Like why? It's because they're not that good. Evidently, I don't even know. But you know, it's like, you know, not to say, and obviously there's connections, but at some point you're going to think, okay, do I have the ingenuity to make something that actually makes money, that actually gets taken seriously? Yes. That's why Class of '09 was a major, major step. And so getting back to the inspirations, you know, don't look at the guy who's, because a lot of people are like, oh, I looked at your videos. I'm like, dude, my videos suck. Look at Hollywood. Look at things that make, sorry, old Hollywood. New Hollywood kind of sucked. But you got to look
Hollywood.
You got to look at, just like from an audio perspective, I would watch cartoons with, you know, $50 million budgets. I'm watching movies with $100 million budgets. I'm watching, you know, I'm watching, you know, for videos and cinematography, people are like, oh, well, they use this prosumer video camera. I'm like, yeah, but that video looks like shit. I don't want to do anything like that. And so,
right. Yeah,
so that's how you get into, you know, that's how you upgrade into, like, you know, it's, I was looking at the things that I grew up on, and I was trying to emulate that. And so when you try to emulate the cream of the crop, you're going to your stuff is going to look better. You know, your stuff is going to look more filmic. It's going to look more official. And so that's what I try to tell people. People are like, "Oh, I look at your videos." I'm like, "Dude, I don't have any money. Like this is a I do a thing on my Patreon, a director commentary podcast called If I Had the Budget." And basically I go through all my videos, but a lot of times, like, the vision is only maybe 70% there when I'm doing a video, because you need the budget to make certain things take off. But so like I'm one of these guys who sort of jerry-rigged it where I could make whatever I wanted, and I was able to make things look official without a lot of money. And so that's, you know, you mentioned audio earlier. Like, dude, in the last 3 or 4 years, the SBN3 videos, those are mixed better than a lot of the, you know, because we take a lot of anime. Those are mixed better than most of the animes coming out now, regardless of studio.
Oh, wow.
And so Bro, listen to the simuldubs, listen to all this shit. It sounds like trash. It sounds like motherfuckers in their closet. It sounds like that. And so it's like they're too...
Why does it sound like that?
No, because it's because they get in the closets and they don't communicate with their actors, and the engineers don't give a shit because they're not getting paid enough. But it's like I don't know. I care because it all falls on me. So I'm just the one-man producer. So it's like that's the problem with middle management and corporations. You get a lot of people who have no stake in it, so the product suffers. But it's about putting the product first. That's the number one law of production is you put the product first. You put the product first and you do what serves the story. Those are like the two most important things. And we're seeing that rapidly die out in sort of not the A-list like Marvel stuff, but more so a lot of those animes that come out, it's like it feels like a lot of people just don't care anymore. And of course there's exceptions to this, but by and large, this is what I've seen. I compare those first Pokemon movies. I listened to those, like for a second I was like, damn, like am I too picky now? Am I just like, have I just fallen into my own taste? Then I go back and I look at those old Pokemon movies. I'm like, no, this is mixed great. This is mixed great. Doesn't sound like anyone's in a closet.
I thought so. Yeah.
And so you compare that with the anime stuff coming out now, and it's like, bro, what are we doing? Like, we have technology. It's digital. It should be cheaper. It should be getting better. It shouldn't be getting worse. Right. And so, that's an industry politics thing. And I don't really argue with anyone about that, actually. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody say, oh, well, no, actually, you don't appreciate it. I feel like it's this unwritten, it's this untold secret. Knows it. Everybody says it behind closed doors. Like, even the actors making anime, I feel like they realize it's kind of shitty, too, but they're getting paid. Like, why should they care? You know, they have no stake in it, like I said before. So I've sort of been the only guy who's more vocal about that. I don't... But, yeah, no, there's a million things I could get into.
No, it's fascinating. And you're absolutely right about... And there's something I've noticed in animation, recently, and even in, like, really high budget stuff, especially as someone who came, like, I was acting for so long. It's like, that's the perspective that I come to with all of this. And it's that some of the direction seems pretty bad. It seems like they all recorded their takes, like, in a different, like, they weren't in, nobody was in the same room. And it seems like there was no direction given. It was like, here, can you say this? All right, recorded. Okay, I recorded it. Wow, we got it. Done. And then you put it all together, and it's like a bunch of, like, it's just like someone took a bunch of voicemails from different people and put them together, like, but they're like, they don't sound like, they sound a little better than a voicemail, but it's interesting, though. I feel like the direction has also been lacking in that, and because of that, the acting suffers. So you think that the people are not, like, you're like, what happened to this person's
You mean pertaining to anime?
What was that? Yeah, I feel like in animation in general, I feel like it's happening in some high budget stuff as well.
A bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's or no, like even the Lego movie, like the actors were too close to the mic, even though they recorded in studio, which was weird. But there was stuff like that. But no, there definitely are directors for every single session. They have to patch in through Source Connect and stuff like that. And I mean, the directing is lacking, but at the same time, it's like it can't, like, it's kind of hard to make a pre-drawn visual, a pre-animated visual always sound like the best acting because there's less choices you can make.
Absolutely, that's true. Yes.
But like I heard once, Funimation, there's a certain style that's required of anime acting, and it has to be very, hey, Makamoko, what are you doing? Like it's always that. You could fill a balloon with anime actor reads. There's just so much breath on it, and so
breath.
And so I worked with, for Class of '09, like I worked with a lot of people who were making their bread off of just anime, who were made their livings off anime. And so what I tell a lot of people who can't, because my reads are polar opposite anime. Polar opposite.
Right.
It's extremely, and so like there's this learning curve where you have to relearn how to talk like a person a lot of times when people direct with me. And so, I talk with like one or two other directors who get what I mean by it, but a lot of the directors, they're actors, and they come up through this anime and they can't hear what's wrong with it. They hear an anime read, they're like, "That's great." I'm like, "No, it's not. Shut up." And so, oh my god, I would say that I get in a lot of fights about this. But anime people, like, they're the most unconfrontational people on the planet Earth.
Yes.
They can't. Yes. The only time they fight with somebody is when somebody gets canceled and then everybody can band together and hate one person. That's the only time they fight with anyone. And so But yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah. Dude, just think of this shit I've been saying for like years. Like, this isn't the first podcast where I've said stuff similar to this. Like, but again, nobody's called me out. Nobody's like, yelled at me. Nobody's done anything. I don't know. So either they're unconfrontational or maybe I'm spitting facts. I don't know.
Yeah, right. No, it sounds sure to me. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
But no, I invite debate with that.
It's interesting. You have these projects and you work with so many. You obviously have been working with people for so long, and with Class of '09, you had a whole team that you worked with before. And you talk about that. To take that production to that next level it takes teams. It takes all of that. And was that part of your reason for your relocation to New York from DC? Is because it's just to like better access to a network and all of that stuff?
Well, actually, no, because it was all remote. That sort of my self-production stuff. The one time that living closer to the city actually benefited me, as far as like my main productions, was the musical score for the intro in Class of '09. And so that was that score was done by Aaron Monroe, who I met through a guy I did a documentary for in the New Jersey R&B scene. And so
wow.
I go to Jersey City, where now I've been told is the worst part of Jersey City. No offense, but people, I don't know. I talked to another guy, and they said that like, damn, you went to Jersey City, you didn't get killed. I was like, no, I was just worried about the parking. But
the parking is a nightmare.
There's like no parking, but
there isn't. No.
But basically, no. So I'm working with this dude, and this dude has worked. He's worked with. It was Aaron Monroe. He worked with Missy Elliott. He worked with Monica. He worked with Wale. He worked with like all these people. And so basically what was happening is for the longest time, I would take a lot of these R&B songs and I would cut scenes to them and I would do all this stuff and I'd find a way to make it work. But in Class of '09, that was the first time where I'm getting it straight from the horse's mouth and I'm working with these songwriters who actually make these songs. And so that's why the music in the Class of '09 intro works so well. I didn't have a lot of budget for the music, so we got just one score and the intro menu, and that was it. And that was good enough. But yeah, that was pretty much it. But yeah, no, he did a great job. And he, again, like, the thing with these guys, the reason why these guys make their money is because, you can tell, and it's the same thing with joke writing. Songwriting and joke writing are very similar, where if the producer says it doesn't work, it's about having the resilience to keep trying again and trying like the fourth, fifth, sixth time. And so there were moments where we had to, do third, fourth attempt at, how do we make this fit? And so like I was linking him songs. He's like, what references you want? I was linking him Hard to Get by High Five, New Edition, Love Again, like just a lot of these R&B sort of songs. And it all sort of came together where we had that sound, but it was also scored. And so it was that weird combination of live play combined with the R&B. And so
wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing that you get in touch with these kinds of folks, and you work with these, you work with voice actors who end up turning out to do big things as well. Like, I was listening to your interview with Ann Yatko, and it was fascinating that so part of your ability to produce these things is your ability to network. I'm guessing that's what that I assume you ascribe part of that.
A bit. I mean, it's like I'm actually not the best networker at all. I don't hop onto Discord servers. I don't, because I see a lot of these opportunities are made through being friends with people. But I never, like, through all the years, I never worried about that. I just worried about the product. I didn't, because it was like, like when you get the money, you can hire anybody. And that's the thing. Like all these actors, people are like, oh, how did you get Kira Buckland? I'm like, I paid her. Like, why are you acting like these people don't need money to survive? Like, it's, but it's just one of those things. But as far like Ann Yako, for instance, I mean, she just replied to a Twitter DM. Like, it's just like actors need money just like anybody else. Like the people doing anime, they're not rich. But yeah, I guess that's how that went down.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting because you talk about production and we think about that so much. Gus and I do this thing called it's a February album writing month. So we've been doing this. This is our 10th year doing it, and we get this cabin, we write all the stuff, and we're like, oh my god, this is not nearly as good as we want it to be. We wish we had this person there we wish we had this studio musician and this, that, and that. It's like to take and when we have had studio, like someone to fill in, like a friend to fill in as a studio musician, like it's taken our stuff to the next level. But I wonder, just from a cost perspective, isn't it hard, being you work with all these people, you've hired a team for Class of '09, how are you able to fund all this stuff? Is it all through the Patreon? Is it all through what you've made through YouTube?
It's through a variety of things. I mean, I buy cameras, flip cameras, because I'm in cinematography, so a lot of that is you buy low, sell high. There's a lot of that. I was doing that
with sneaky people. But
yeah. Also, the government. The government was funding a lot of Class of '09 because that was a lot of it. I was paying everybody during COVID, and that was when the unemployment was rolling in. So I was getting this very I've always made money, but it was never that flat line consistent like unemployment was. So a lot of that money went into hiring these actors because the government was just throwing money at everybody. So it wasn't. But no, the stimulus checks, they didn't really make a dent. That wasn't that much. But it's but I mean, the Patreon is part of it. That year, certainly the unemployment helped because I wasn't able to do gigs. The whole world was shut down. There was nothing. The market was shut down. The market was slow. I couldn't sell anything. But the unemployment came in, and then that's how I was paying a lot of people at that point because there was just no gigs. But now Class of '09, that's the moneymaker, because you have to stick with it, and you have to stick with that drought for a year and a half sometimes, and once it goes up, then the money rolls in, and then you can breathe again. But as far as the funding goes, I mean, the last class of but now it's after Class of '09 and even earlier before Class of '09, people reach out. People personally reach out to me. They're like, hey, I have 10 grand, I have 20 grand, 50 grand. What can we make happen? And so a lot of these meetings have been happening in the last couple years now. And so that's why I'm saying I always put stuff on Patreon, I guess, but it's, I don't know. Don't be surprised if I vanish off of YouTube one day. That's all I'm saying, because it's entirely, because I've noticed you don't post for 2 weeks and people think you're dead.
Yeah, that's true. They do.
So it's no, I mean, when I was making Class of '09, I'm talking about it. There's a Twitter about it. I'm tweeting about it, and it's just people don't look, people don't research. It's dude, if you actually think somebody's dead, aren't you gonna look at their other socials? No,
yeah,
just
check around.
But anyway,
yeah,
no, so but yeah, no, so but that's the traditional producer sort of thing. On the mobile version, you'll see. It cost another few $1,000s just to get Class of '09 onto the Android.
Oh, it did.
So
it did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you gotta rehire the programmer. You gotta hire people to sort of adapt it. Blah blah blah. And so you'll notice Alejandro Gluski is his name is executive producer. His name has been on a few of my projects. His name was on Cobain Theory. His name was on I think Christina Aguilera Trading Cards. That short. Yeah, no, so that's an example of one guy who has funded certain things. And then I have other guys who just fund under the table. They don't want their name on it. They just want to see it made. But now we're getting to bigger things where, unless somebody has at least $5 grand, they cannot open a conversation because I'm doing bigger things now. Because $4 grand, 4,000, I could get that on my own. I just sit, 3 months and then that money comes in on Patreon that's nothing. So now it's for somebody to take a cut of that, again. And this is what I tell everybody. I'm you should have contacted me with this, in 2013 or 14 when I was making no money at all.
Right.
But I would have given up all the rights. I would have said, oh yeah, 2,000, that's fine. I would have done all that.
Yeah.
But that's the consequences of not finding people early.
You had so these folks who are just they invest in you and you agree to some kind of arrangement where it's here's this, I'm going to invest this much money in you, and then you own this part of whatever content, of this piece of content, and whatever money it generates, I'm going to give you back this amount. That's
generally how it works.
Yeah, generally how your investment Wow, that's so interesting, and I'm so happy for you that you're kind of as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about like folks who've escaped, who've left the internet, I don't want to, I hate to put it this way, but for lack of a better word, kind of graduated from the internet bubble, right? And like I think of a Bo Burnham, right? Like Bo Burnham, like going ahead and being like, I'm gonna take stand up to the next level. When I do perform, I'm gonna put a theatrical, like a theatrical show on for folks. I'm like, whoa, this is incredible. But now people don't even think of Bo Burnham as the YouTuber guy, but he was the YouTuber guy,
Yeah.
He's an old internet guy, and it's so cool to watch folks get like exposure outside of that and get kind of like mainstream like this mainstream acceptance, kind of like this. But and it's cool, and you're right. It's the level of production that's out there in like just how else to say this, but like real movies, real television and all that stuff. It's just at this level where you're like, wow, like it's like sometimes when I'm watching like a show or something, I'm like, like when I'm editing or like when I'm watching a YouTube, like you notice mistakes, or you're just like there's, or sometimes I don't even know what's wrong with whatever YouTube video I'm watching, but when I see something on television, I'm just like, this editing is flawless. Like, or I see something on streaming on any of the streaming platforms. Not Twitch, but yeah, no, it is fascinating, and I'm really happy. I wish we could talk more about what's going to happen next, but I guess we'll see if you're willing to touch base with us back then. Until then, we'll keep checking your socials to see what you're going up to. But I just wanted to ask, just in case, is there any hint that you could give us at what's coming next, Max? Anything?
More Class of '09, probably.
Really?
It's a moneymaker.
That is sick.
Video games in general, moneymakers. Think of this. It's I don't. Every time I put out long form shit, that's what makes money. And what I tell people is like, you gotta get yourself to a point where you have big long projects that people want to pay for. You got to get to that point, and then you just build the catalog. You keep building the catalog. So Operation Backpackers, so Taste Clothes Heaven and Hard to Find, so Class of '09, so all the album, all that stuff. You have to build a catalog because that's what Paramount does. That's what Disney does. That's what they all do. Because
you're right.
When you buy those properties, you license them. People keep buying them. People buy long shit forever. People don't pay for short shit forever. That's why that's why there's no world around short films. They don't make any money. Who's going to pay? People would rather pay $10 for a long movie than $5 for a 5-minute movie. Yeah. It's just, it's just you mathematically divide it. It doesn't really add up. You want to pay as little per minute as possible. So
that's true.
It's but no. So now I have properties where every now and then people show up on Patreon. They want Taste Clothes. They want Operation Backpackers. They want all this stuff. And so that's sort of the point. And people use the phrase paywall, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess Paramount's been paywalling people since the beginning of time. Like. And so this is that's why you need to.
That's
and
hilarious.
I don't get hit with that much. And I think to me that is the sign that you're being treated as an entertainer as opposed to a YouTuber, where you say pay for this and people don't mind it. That's where you're starting to really where it's just And so I was making trailers, and I think that I started just editing trailers. That's how I started learning how to edit in like 2012.
Oh, you did. Oh,
and
okay.
so. Not like I had class projects where I would edit trailers for a thing. There was a marketing class where we had to do that, and I realized that like, oh shit, I'm better than everybody here by a lot. And I didn't. That wasn't by design. I just had the eye and the ear for it. And so that was initially how I started like practicing filmic maneuvering. Let's say, and so, it was just one of those things where. That skill you learn early on, you learn how to work with music, you learn how to cut, you learn how to drop the music for jokes, you learn how to do all those things, and now I can do that for my own projects. So the Class of '09 trailers, both Class of '09 trailers, Heaven and Hard to Find, Operation Backfire, that was all edited by me. And so, and it's interesting how that skill works into your promotional advantage later on. That's what I saw. Like when I put up trailers for Operation Backpackers and I put up a trailer for Taste Clothes, that's when the money really started booming with those. And so the money made with those, like that was part of what kickstarted the Class of '09 money. And so it's always a cycle that keeps going and going and going. But yeah, I mean, I only used to make. I remember when I only made $98 a video on Patreon in 2014.
Wow, that's still, to me that sounds great. But yeah, but
again, they missed out on me. They could have had me. They could have had all my publishing. They could have given me the worst deal ever. Not anymore, motherfucker. I got my own money. Fuck off.
Oops. I guess they call that "fuck you" money.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. I love that the investment in editing early on, because you are a very good editor. Gus and I have noticed that for years.
I don't think so. I don't know how to use Avid. I'm a horrible editor. What do you say? I could not survive.
Avid,
if I went to a real Hollywood studio or a real studio and I wouldn't know how to work. I don't teach editing on my workshops because I don't know how to use the industry level stuff. I use Sony Vegas, dude. Like, I'm not. I will always. I always deny that I'm a good editor because I don't know how to use the program.
Right, the AVID, that next level editing life. I know we have friends who went into filmmaking. They had to learn it, and I always think about it. I'm like, oh, why? And it, like, nobody uses AVID for making a YouTube video or anything like that.
Right.
Do you think do you think there would be an advantage to someone doing that? To switching over to some of those, a pro tool like that?
From an artistic standpoint, no. It's all about the workflow. It's all about getting hired. My thing is, I have never said I could do something unless I could do it for other people. Unless I can get hired for other people. Cinematography, gripping, that stuff, I can do that for other people. Sound design, I've done that for other people. Writing, joke writing, I've done that for other people. And so that's the difference between. There's a lot of guys on YouTube who make YouTube money and they write supposedly funny things. But it's like, dude, you only did that for you. You're not making money off of your writing. You're making money off of your online brand.
Right.
And so, it's like, when are people going to offer you $1,000 check to write for them? That's when you're a writer. That's when that's when you can advertise yourself as these things. But if nobody else wants it, that's sort of a thing.
Wow.
But yeah.
Wow. Was money the barrier to getting? See, it's so funny because you made the anti-visual novel very funny. We were having some good belly laughs out of playing it, and but we play it on our computer because we have iPhones. So and I noticed that you have it on Android. Was that a barrier to getting it on the iPhone? When I've made games before, I go to this one company that makes this is embarrassing, RPG Maker, and I've made a lot of games on RPG Maker. But they also have Visual Novel Maker, and I was like, the one thing I do want to ask Max is, did he use something like that? And you didn't.
Ren'Py.
Ren'Py, yeah. So is that the barrier to getting something on the iPhone? Was it the money and the fact that they run they use
Here's the barrier.
Yeah.
Here's the barrier. It's only $99 to get your app on the iPhone.
Right.
If they approve it, and so that's the problem. Is
if they approve it.
That there are so many things in Class of '09 where Apple was blocking it from being put up. I still have an Apple developer account.
He has an Apple developer account. That's expensive, isn't it? Isn't it
no? It's $99. That's it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's nothing. So.
Seriously,
so
it really
it's
isn't.
$99. But they blocked my game. They blocked my game for bullying, teen drug use, and suicide.
Right. Things that people go through. That's it. It is interesting. I think that's so interesting that it's okay to use a platform that they allow all that allows people to say anything on there. But when the art itself, your game, is directly saying that stuff, that's so offensive to my sensibilities as a human, and my ethics as a person, because the fact is that you made a piece of art and just because you're directly saying it and not having a piece of social media, how is that right? And it devalues the whole idea of having oh yeah, it could be said if it's on social media, if it's a 56 character Twitter link, but it's not okay that it's that this person is saying these things directly. And you touch on that a lot of this is based on real life events, which is something we want it to be relatable, right? That our art, and
I would say 10% of it was my goofy mind sort of putting random things in there, but like some of the endings got a little wild, but basically, no. And earlier you referred to it as art, and it's
it is.
I appreciate that, but it's, to me, that is the evidence that video games are not yet art by most people, because they were so worried about that. Because if it was art, they would have accepted it and they would have allowed the expression. And so that's what you see. Like, there's tons of, think about it, there's tons of paintings that have naked people in it. There's tons of paintings that depict gratuitous violence. You see, because that's not accepted by galleries. That's not accepted by the wealthy elite.
Right.
See, so
it isn't.
That's why. So, I would always have debates with people as to whether video games were art or not. And and as a result of the fan bases and a result of the marketplaces, they don't want video games to be art.
Right.
They don't, think of how rare a game like Class of '09 is. Okay, we're going to depict this entirely realistic situation. We're going to inject some little funny things in there every now and then. But
right.
No, it's just that, like, it because video games are not considered art. That's why Class of '09 was very out there for a lot of people. Yeah. And so, but to me, the purpose of art is, you got to use the medium to tell the theme.
Yes.
And so that's what I try to do with Class of '09. That's why we had a lot of backlash on it, because the whole purpose of the game was to use the gameplay and use your choices to show the player how, if you're a girl and you're nice to people, it ends badly for you, and if you're a girl and you're mean to people, it ends well for you. And so that was the idea I had. If I were to make more things, I'm not sure if I would have a similar mechanic, because people don't want difficulty in a visual novel, and that was a visual novel where there's an objective pass and an objective fail. And I guess a lot of people weren't ready for a very gritty version of that.
What do you mean that people weren't ready for it? You've noticed that. Have
you played the game, sir?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. No,
I mean, what endings did you get?
We didn't get to the endings. We keep part. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I didn't even realize that. Like, I thought the game would just keep. I thought the game just kept going. Like, I knew that there was endings to get to. I just figured the game was fairly long and it was going to take some hours to get to the. Yeah.
The longest stem is only about 45 to 50 minutes.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah. So there's that. The shortest one is about 25 minutes.
Okay.
But 100%ing the game takes 3 hours. Okay. So, dude, you got to play the game, man. Like there's you got to finish it, because like that's the whole purpose of it is, because again, like, well, I'll say on the basis of it, if you choose the boring, nice options, that ends badly for you. If you choose the fun, interesting, explorative options, if you explore those options, the game ends well, and the game ends with endings that have excitement, and you get more exciting trails. Sure. And so if you're explorative, and if you're that's all socially. Like, think about it. Like, games challenge players based on their reaction time. Games challenge players based on their problem solving, number ability. This is one of the only games that challenges players socially, where it's like, first playthrough, do you have the mind where you don't give a fuck and you're just going to do whatever? So
right.
That's sort of the thing.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like, what I noticed is that when we were playing is that I'm always drawn to, like, whatever the nice guy approach is. Like, for some reason, like, I've always felt that way. Like, even with games, that have given me the choices to do things before, like in BioShock, where, like, you could harvest or the energy to do this, or you could take care of the children, and I always am drawn to that, and I actually find this, like, resistance to picking mean things all the time in games, and in your game I was constantly confronted with that, which is interesting because I'm not used to being constantly confronted with this idea that this push. I was like, hey, what about, like, do you want to explore the darker side of all this? So that was
I mean, Class of 09 is for the streets. No, the thing with Class of 09 is that, like, it's. And again, it's like such a polar opposite. Like, all the actors are like polar opposites of these people, but these are real people, bro. Like, these are real people. These are the people that you would. A lot of these girls in this game you would find at the 30-minute emo band concert that went viral last week. So talk about, like, that's a lot of those girls. And a lot of those girls are like, oh yeah, I want to pop pills and tell you to kill yourself. Like, that's a lot of girls like that. And so a lot of like, dude, like, people don't. I don't know. To me, like a Class of '09, it revealed how sheltered certain players are. Like you see them react to certain things. Like a girl casually wants to pop Percocet. I've seen that a million times because I've been out and I've like lived the world. But a lot of these people, they just watch anime on Netflix. Damn.
Yeah.
But no, that was sort of the where we wanted to put Class of '09 in that headspace of just like, you know, real shit. It's I've always said it's the straight out of Compton of white people. Where a lot of people...
Oh my god, that's interesting. I got like
straight out of Compton, what that did was it revealed South Central LA not as this place where there's beaches and you know and celebrities and movie stars. Like it was like, oh, there's gun violence. Like a lot of horrible things happen here, and it was like what opened people's eyes to that to the rest of America. Yeah, and so that was sort of Class of '09. Mm-hmm. We've seen the result of Class of '09 where it's like. A lot of people like because I have a very diverse viewer base where it's people and all the black dudes would get in the Twitter spaces and they talk about it and they'd be like, how much of this shit is actually happening in white high schools? I'm like, a lot of it, dude. Right. And so again, it's like Class of '09 is people you'd see comments complain about, oh, there's not enough diversity in the game. I'm like, a lot of the shit in this game could only happen in a white high school. It's not happening anywhere else. It's just, and it's like a lot of people are worried to comment on race and how it affects culture. I'm not because I know I talk to everyone. Like I see the differences.
We're from an inner city-ish school from Jersey, and so we're very like seeing this side of things is very different for us because like kids in our town are all just like first generation Americans. Like he's a Colombian, I'm Indian. Like they're not. We're not like really exposed to that. We're like our parents are like do good in school, John, and like his parents are like. Yeah, hey, please do good in school.
Please do good in school. Yeah, like they're hoping. Like, they're not sure. All right.
Oh my god, I didn't mean it that way, but that's what it came out.
But no, that was sort of the thing is that I went to a white high school, like a predominantly white high school, and so it's you go. Again, like a lot of people who didn't go to those schools, like a lot of them think it's like this big comedy thing or it's this generic thing, and like the people who actually went to those schools, the speech beats and the pacing and the references and the slang and everything. People are like, wow, I knew 20 kids named Crispin. I knew 20 kids named Kyler. Yeah, right, I knew all these kids. Yeah. I knew all these kids. Just these dudes, like just so many girls, like the type of girl who Nicole is based on in Class of '09, and like a lot of those girls grew up talking to just mostly guys like Crispin. Mostly these guys who just hang their hat on what music they know. It's been a lot of that, and so it's But there are a lot of things that people thought were just like made up for comedic exaggeration. That would be an interesting thing. I would want to do would want to do an interview or podcast one day where people take out like 20 clips and they ask me how real each thing was.
I did want to ask
that. I think that'd be an interesting game show thing, but. Like it's like fucking like dude, it's actually happening. And so the funny thing about Class of '09 was like, if Class of '09 took place today, it can't be Class of '19 because now we call those things out. Now it's a big news story. Like, and so like that's what a lot of people don't get. A lot of people who didn't live it or a lot of people who didn't interact enough even if they did go to a white high school. Like this was a very real game. And so it's interesting because you talk to a lot of drama kids, like kids who went to drama high schools and stuff like that. They're like, are people this mean? I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, so it's like people don't really like the idea of a girl telling some guy to kill himself. I've seen that like at least 5 times. Anyway, so all right. Anyway, go ahead. But what I try to illustrate to people is that it's like, okay, yes, like, it was offensive. It was off color. It was a lot of things, but that was the world. That was literally the fucking world.
Right. And I think that's the thing that people don't know, and especially us. Like I don't know that. I don't know that world. I didn't go to that high school.
Yeah. Well, that one teacher did get busted.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all. Yes. Yeah. The teachers that get busted. I mean, the people, like the kids, the classmates and stuff. But yeah, the teachers did get busted for things, and all of that. But it's just the kids and the classmates, and nobody talked to each other that way. It was mostly pretty positive high school for me, and nobody, really. There was, and so I did always wonder what it was like to go to a school that was like, you know, in the suburban and upper middle class and all of that, and now growing up, I know people who've went through that, and they talk about it being bad, and I have people that are close to me now that that I've now met that are like, you know, this, like, I really didn't enjoy high school, and they didn't go to our high school, right? They were upper middle class, upper class, and they were going suburbia, but they were like, I really didn't like it. And I always asked them, like, why didn't they like it? And after playing your game, hearing you talk about it, now I'm actually connecting these dots here that actually, like, the reason they don't want to talk about it is because there's some pretty bad shit and they're nice people, that these people that I know, that these friends of mine, and they don't want to talk about, like, these awful things that you know, that people would say to each other, things like that. And so now actually it's all clicking. So thanks so much, Max, for kind of like for revealing this world to us, you know, straight out of Compton for for this demographic. Interesting.
No, straight out of Compton. It's the white people straight out of Compton.
It's white people straight out of Compton.
Because it tells the awful things that go on in the white world. Different world. Yeah, because that's the thing is, like, you know, people are like, diversity. How do I put it? Like, we talked about diversity in media a lot in the last few years. Yes. And it's like, the majority of our media is white owned, but for some reason, the incriminating white stories are not told. It's mostly just like Marvel, and it's mostly like, but like, you know, it's like it's just all this shit. It's like there's not, like, there are so many real stories that could be told that just are not told because people are too afraid. Right. People are too afraid to, like, do it right. You know, I had to use South Park as like an example because before the game is made, nobody knows what it's going to be. So you have to use comparisons for what the humor is. Because I literally have these girls who just watch anime and are in this nice, soft little world where nothing, you know, awful happens. Yeah. And they have to suddenly they have to read a line where they're like, "Fuck you, nerd, kill yourself," and they're like, "Oh no!" Like just the react. I have so many recordings of just like people reacting. To
I would love to hear that. Yeah. I was actually thinking, what are the voice actors thinking when they're saying this? This is like a professional voice actor reading this stuff, and usually getting to do a lot of anime and stuff like that. Yeah. I would love to hear those outtakes.
Yeah, that's what I told a couple of people. I was like, you're never getting a script this good again. You're never going to say a line this good again, so you better get used to it. Like, you better cherish it while you have it, because it's like, dude, I don't know. Like, I think anime would be really cool. I think there's a lot. I dog on anime a lot. I think there's a lot of potential with anime, but it's like the same 3 people making it, and it's like, it's just like, I don't know. It's always like some magical world, or it's always some guy with powers, or it's always something. It's never just like, I don't know. It's strange. Yeah, no.
It is a medium that, you know, can be lifted to maybe new heights. Maybe it's going to take you, Max, to direct something like that, to produce it. So we'll find out what's going to happen with this. If your game's going to get an anime. And wait, is it, we're getting like Madhouse to produce the anime version of Class of '09? Is this what's going to happen? I'm going to keep throwing stuff out there until it sticks.
I don't know about that. I don't even know what the hell Madhouse is.
They made Afro Samurai. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get them to do it. Class of '09 OVA. We'll make that happen. Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm in. That's awesome.
No, that'd be good. No, that'd actually be insane, because then I have the control of the story. That's the problem with making a visual novel, is that the setups that you put earlier on, there's no guarantee that their first playthrough, they get those payoffs later, because there's multiple different ways that you can go to getting that ending. Right. So that's that's tricky. That's tricky for sure.
Was it? So, sorry, I know we're about to hit the hour mark, and we're using a lot of very valuable time, and I want to thank you from both of us. Yeah. You know, just thank you so much for like coming on and talking to us, and like, you really helped me like really understand so much about this, and just your thoughts on production and your thoughts on the world, and just like coming from a different world. It's thank you so much for putting that out there in this in your game. And was the reason what brought you to gaming was it because, first of all, it gets you out of it helps get out of the YouTube bubble. It also, it's the money. It's because of it's such a moneymaker. compared to what people just expect is free. You talk about like this idea of people being not okay with the paywall, right? It's like things cost money to make. Like people's
people
time.
pay money for games. That's why I moved to games.
People pay
will
money
pay
for games.
Yeah.
People like the thing about like movies. People are like, oh, let me torrent it. But like games are a little trickier to torrent because people are so worried about the viruses and they're worried about like, there's all these files. What did somebody hide in the directory file? You know what I mean?
Right.
So like there's a lot of people who are still worried about that. And so, with movies, you can go watch free movies online and go to Putlocker.
Yeah, everybody,
and go to
people do that a lot. I'm like, I was like, why do you do that so much? Like, but it's pretty common. It is common.
And so a game was the surefire way that I could guarantee that, okay, like someone, where it's one of those things where, a lot of people are they're too lazy to do a keygen and a crack. They're too lazy to do that stuff. So
good. Yeah.
But pretty much, so, and I was charging, and it was weird because I was told that $15 on Steam, I was told that was a ridiculous price, but we had enough conversions and we made the money back. And then
you
some.
made the money back?
Oh.
Dude.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Why
huge.
wouldn't? Well, how you're supposed to make the money back? What?
I know it takes time. I just figured it would take a lot of time. I think about box office.
It took a few months. It took a few months, but no. After a couple sales, no, we definitely did pretty well with it. But I won't get into the exact figures, but I made the money back. I'll just say that.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
But yeah, no.
It's led you to some cool things. It sounds like some cool stuff's on the horizon. Are we going to expect a sequel anytime soon?
Maybe in 2022. I'm not sure. It's if not 2022, then 2023. It's just one of those things where the problem is as productions get bigger, there's more people you have to wait on before you can even start working. This is why they talk about projects being in pre-production hell. Pretty much, I'm dealing with I wouldn't call it hell. I'm in pre-production limbo right now. But basically, yeah, like you gotta stop and you gotta see, okay, where's the money coming from? What's the plan? What's the strategy? Who's gonna have their hand on it? Who gets a cut? Who gets this? Who gets that? Now it's a bigger thing. Before it was just me. That was the first class of it. I was entirely out of my own pocket, entirely. And now people want to get on it. So now, because I took the risk, nobody else wanted to take their risk. Now they get lower stake. They get a lower stake because now we know it's a proven product.
Right, right. Because they didn't want to take the risk to begin with. Now it's a safe bet, right? It's
like Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy, he went platinum without a deal, and then when the record label came, he was getting like $1 million, $2 million. Like he was being offered very, very good deals where he could retain ownership.
Wait, what? I didn't know that. Yeah, he Crank That came out when he was 16, and then it got famous. It got famous first. Everybody was playing it. All the DJs were playing it. Then the labels reached out, and when the labels do that, that means he has all the leverage because he's already making money. So they have to offer him a good deal. Yeah, he already is a star.
You think about you think about the Backstreet Boys, or you think about these boy bands where nobody knew them as they were coming up.
Right.
They were organized by managers. The managers get all the money because these guys are entirely unproven. Nobody knows who these guys are. So these guys blow up. A lot of these guys don't actually have that much money because their deal screwed them all out of it. So if they sell 1 million copies, they're only getting maybe like 1% of that or something.
Oh my God.
Or there's a 360 deal or something like that. But there's a lot that goes into that.
There is, and it's amazing. Like the amount of people that I know that are like, yeah, I had this record label, I had this record deal, and I'm like, oh, cool, can I listen to your music? And they're like, it's locked up it's locked up by the record label. And I'm like, awesome, that's really great. And I like that sucks, that level. We're coming to the hour mark. Thank you so much, Max, for coming. One thing I just want to add on, if you have a second to answer this, is you're in our eyes, you're an artist. We're arty people. That's just how we talk about things, like games, whether it be games, anime, movies, whatever, it doesn't matter. Comedy in general. Do you do you have? Is it fun making all the art? You're a hard worker, and
it's not fun.
It's not fun. Is it fun? Is it fun?
It's not fun. Like I think the products are good. I like the products that come out of it, but no, it's not fun. It's not fun to direct people. It's not fun to fucking tell. Yeah. It's not fun to tell the artist we need a revision. It's not fun to tell the programmer, hey, something's wrong, we got to fix it. None of that shit's fun. Writing isn't fun. Hunched over on fucking Celtics for 3 goddamn months. That's not fun. None of this shit's fun. That's the problem. This is why so many people quit their entertainment careers because they go into it thinking, oh, this is going to be fun. It's not fucking fun. It sucks. It sucks. It's literally horrible. I had 3 different programmers flake. I had fucking 5 different artists flake. I had a bunch of different people flake while I was making Class of '09. And because I didn't treat it like it was supposed to be fun, that's why it got done.
That's why it got done.
It's you know, that's what people don't get going into this, is that it's not like, you know, obviously enjoy the product that you make. You got to make sure it's like a good product, believe in it. But at the same time, like, the more fun you have making it, the shittier it might be. Because it's like, because again, it's not fun to have attention to detail. It's not fun to fix a programming error. It's not fun to fix an animation glitch. It's not fun to fix these things.
No, it isn't.
So, and it's like, if you want it to just be fun, you know, go play with toys. Go play with your video games until you're 40. Like, fucking
toys.
Go play with your toys if you want to have fun. Like, it's, you know. Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, that's so funny, but it's so true though, and it's like a really hard lesson that I have to learn. That I'm learning constantly, and I'm learning from you, obviously right now. It's just like, it takes work to get these things done. So, you know, for you, is it because you want to express yourself? Is that the motivator? Is that the drive behind the work? You know, what is that? Do you find? I'm sorry if that's if it's a crazy deep question or something.
Well, that answer changes. That answer changes depending on what era. Like, I would have different answers for you depending on what year you ask me that.
Sure. Okay.
At this point now that I see I can get on Steam and there's like a platform level that I can reach, I would say at this point now it's all about getting things made that I know would never be made without me, or would never be made like as well without me. And so I think about this, like we were talking about the Pokemon live action movie a couple times, and it's like, or they talk about the Yu Yu Hakusho live action movie. I know I am the only fucking person who would make that good, because otherwise people are going to complain and say it's shitty.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of IRL versions of things. Yeah.
No, this is the thing. Yeah. It could be made good. This is why Cowboy Bebop sucked. This is why this is why all this shit sucked. You will never have a good anime-based movie made by someone born before 1988. It will never happen because they didn't grow up with this shit. They don't understand it. Their fucking dads, they're like, how do you do, fellow kids? Oh, I like Cowboy Bebop. Like, they don't fucking get it, bro.
Right.
They don't
look at
get
the hair.
this shit.
We're going to take this hair and we're just going to take... They're just going to, like, they literally, like, took a picture of the hair and they're like, hairstylist, do this. Like, don't make it realistic. Even though there's a person with, like, normal, like proportions, they're a normal human. They're not a chibi or something. Like,
and this is... Think about it. That's why Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, that was the first good Spider-Man, because he grew up with this shit. He grew up with it.
Yes,
it wasn't like he didn't have to do research. If you have to do research on a thing, you should not be adapting it. That's number fucking one. And that's why all the anime, it got big around 2000. It got big around the turn of the millennium. So that's why I'm saying you cannot have it is impossible to make a good anime-based movie by a director born before 1988. It will not happen. It will never happen. I will bet $1 trillion that will never happen. So you're going to get good anime movies, but it's going to happen in 15 years when all the people born after 1988 have more connections. Right. That's when it's going to happen.
Right. When the rise of the millennial.
When the boomers die off. See, we could have had coronavirus take them all out, but we were too nice. So, okay. Yeah, we let the boomers survive that one, although the boomers made all the lockdown laws, so I don't know anymore. But anyway.
Oh my God.
That's the thing. Yeah, see, I made that joke one time, and somebody told me I supported eugenics. I'm like, I don't support eugenics. I just hate old people. There's a difference, dude. Like, but anyway, that's another story. Another story.
Value difference. There's definitely a value difference, and it's amazing. I gotta say, to watch, and I'm so happy to watch the millennial start to be out there, and just like to hear our viewpoints, to see folks like yourself who are putting out art, who understand, who grew up with the same art that we did, and understand like how that affected us in the world we grew up with, and our viewpoints and our values, and like what matters to us, and kind of challenging like the ways we've wanted to challenge norms forever that we haven't been allowed to, just because we're just not been in charge, And so thank you so much for the work you've done, Max. I really appreciate it. And thank you for continuing to do so. And I'm really excited to see where you go next. And hopefully you'll be willing to check in with us then. But if you're not, that's okay too. We'll be out there watching. So thank you so much, Max, for this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your interest. Thank you for your continued interest, and thank you for having me on here.
Of course.
Check your Instagram DMs more because you gave me a freak out when I was showing up here.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm so sorry. Oh my! You know, I did. Yeah, I threw up all my I disable. I'm not a very good millennial. I disable all my notifications on things, and I should have enabled it because I realized I'm having a massive guest on here beforehand. So I really apologize for that. I'm so sorry, Max, to throw you off that way.
No problem.
I hope you had fun. And thank you so much for everything again.
Yeah, thank you for having a crazy person on your podcast. It was lovely. Hope to do it again soon.
Yeah.
I will, if there's any other projects that you want to talk about, I'm always around. But yeah.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Max.
Thank you.
Have a great day and great rest of your week, and Happy New Year. Oh, well, I guess it's a little past for that, but you know, I can't wait to see what's to come in 2022. We'll talk soon then. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.